They say if you want peace, live far from people. My family's been doing that for over 130 years, tucked away on the south end of Bladen County, right where the pine forests start giving up to soybeans and the sky gets so heavy, you can taste a thunderstorm hours before it rolls in. I was born here, like my dad, like his dad before him, and Lord willing, I'll die here too. Or at least, that's what I used to think, until the HOA tried to bleed me out with a $100,000 fine for building a barn on my own land. Yeah, that happened. But let me back up a sec. See, I've been running the Hawks place solo since my dad passed about a dozen years ago. It's not a one-man operation, though. I lease out a chunk of it to a couple big AG companies, got some local beekeepers working the eastern edge, and when I'm not busy, I run a weekend shop for folks who need a hand fixing tractors or rebuilding planters. I kept things steady for a long while, always putting money back into the land. But last year, I finally did something just for me. I built a barn. Not just any barn, either. This was a modern, steel-sided beast with reinforced walls, a concrete pad deep enough to outlast a hurricane, and tall doors to fit my auction find case tractor plus the new drone sprayers I'd started fooling with. The barn sat 400 feet back from the southern line, well inside my land. Believe me, I checked. Brought out Todd, an old surveyor buddy, just to double and triple check. We walked every stake, every tree, made damn sure nobody could say I was encroaching. I even joked, wait till the new HOA says I built too close to their yoga studio. We laughed about it, but that joke? It soured quick. 3 weeks after the roof went on, I got this cream-colored envelope in the mail. Fancy pinecone logo in the corner, addressed to Brandon Hawks, resident. Inside, 2 pages of lawyer speak telling me I'd violated the architectural standards of Pinewood Summit, the brand new subdivision that used to be old timberland, now home to 80 identical beige boxes with bird names and vinyl siding as thin as their neighborly smiles. The letter accused me of unauthorized agricultural construction and demanded $100,000, payable in 2 weeks. At first, I thought it was a scam or a prank, but the signature at the bottom made me pause. Karen Willoughby, president of Pinewood Summit HOA. Everybody called her Queen Pine. Word was, she once fined a man for leaving his garden hose out where you could see it from the sidewalk. Another time, she had a Halloween display taken down for not being seasonally neutral. Just the sort of person who makes you thank God for living outside any HOA. I figured I'd call and clear it up. Got voicemail. Left a message, polite but firm, told her my land had never been part of their development. Been Hawks' land since 1891, no annexations, no shared roads, nothing. 2 days later, she showed up herself. I was working on my tractor when a black Lexus crunched down my drive. Out steps Karen, heels, sunglasses, clipboard, like she's running a census, and 2 guys in tow. One in HOA khakis, the other with a measuring wheel. She called out, "Mr. Hawks." I stood up, wiped my hands. "Who's asking?" "Karen Willoughby. You've received our correspondence, I assume." "You brought friends," I said. She didn't even blink. "We're here to verify setback violations." She pointed at my barn, like she was accusing it of murder. "This structure encroaches on Pinewood Summit and violates our visual harmony standards." I laughed, couldn't help it. "Ma'am, that barn's on my land. Always has been." She smiled, patient and fake, and started in on how the area south of your barn had been integrated into our development zone back in 2016. She claimed my land was now subject to architectural review. I just stared at her. "Lady, my family's been here since Grover Cleveland. The deed's framed on my office wall. Tax paid every year." She tapped her clipboard. "It's not about feelings, Mr. Hawks. It's about community standards." I looked her in the eye. "This ain't your community." The guy with the wheel moved closer to my fence. I stepped between him and the line. "You get one chance to back up and leave," I told him, calm but clear. "Next boot over that post. I'm calling the sheriff." They left in silence. For days later, a second letter came. Heavier paper, even fancier pinecone. Hand-delivered by a twitchy kid who looked terrified I'd chase him off with a shotgun. Now they'd upped the fine to $110,000 and accused me of non-participation in architectural arbitration. They even attached board meeting minutes. My name came up 9 times. Karen apparently urged the board to authorize enforcement mechanisms up to and including lien placement and seizure procedure. I laughed so hard, I nearly burned the envelope. But I could see where this was going. Called Ron, my lawyer. They're either high or dangerous, I told him. Both, he said. And this is the kind of stupid that grows teeth if you ignore it. So I called Todd, my surveyor buddy. He came out with a truckload of gear, set up GPS, drone scans, mapped every boundary my granddad ever marked. 3 days of work. The Pinewood homes sat quiet, looking innocent behind their fences, too quiet. On day 3, Karen rolled up again, straight at Todd. We're requesting immediate access to verify cross-boundary encroachment, she announced, like it was her own private police state. Todd just looked at her. Ma'am, unless you got a judge's order in that purse, you're trespassing. She went stiff, stammered something about dormant parcels and incorporated regions. Todd cut her off. This is Tract 17, Plot C, Hawks Land since 1891. You're trespassing. She left, but I knew we hadn't seen the last of her. That night, I went down a rabbit hole, digging up county records, zoning maps, tax rolls, every document I could find. Sure enough, my land was clean. But the Sierra Group, the developer behind Pinewood Summit, had filed a bunch of expansion plans, most of them never approved by the county, and some showing my fields as unclaimed. It was a land grab, plain and simple. Ron drafted a cease and desist letter with every piece of proof attached. Next morning, someone slashed the tires on Todd's drone trailer. He just muttered, "City boys think glue-on power suits make 'em gangsters." I didn't laugh. Then came the twist. 3 days later, Todd was back, red-faced and rattled, holding a rolled map like it was a live grenade. "We've got a situation," he said, unrolling it on my shop table. Turns out, Pinewood Summit had built 9 homes, and the HOA office, 30 feet over my property line. Not just a fence, not a flower bed. Full houses, porches, driveways, the whole mess. "They tried to fine you for your barn," Todd said, "while half their board's been having coffee on your cornfield." That was the moment I stopped seeing this as a headache and started treating it like a fight. I called the county, pulled plat maps dating to when my grandfather was planting pines. My cousin at the Department of Natural Resources found zoning requests that showed Sierra Group had knowingly fudged their overlays. Deliberate, not a mistake. Ron almost spit out his coffee. "This isn't just HOA drama," he said. "It's fraud. You have leverage now." We filed a legal notice of encroachment, served the HOA, Sierra Group, even the county. Filed an injunction to freeze every lot in dispute. That night, someone left a threat in my mailbox. "Stop digging or we push back." I installed lights, cameras, called my buddy Mike from Raleigh, who used to work in the state attorney's office. Mike brought in a forensic land use guy, a real-life GPS bloodhound, who spent 3 days cross-referencing every permit, every plat. End result: 9 homes, 2 sidewalks, 4 driveways, the HOA office, even a planned community park were sitting on my beans. About a week after word got around, Karen showed up at sunset with a Tupperware dish of homemade apple cobbler. She tried to act neighborly, invited me to a community dialogue, no lawyers, just light refreshments and open discussion. I took the cobbler, shut the door, and called Ron. He said, "Go, but don't sign anything." At the clubhouse, which, reminder, still sat on my land, the whole HOA board waited with wine and cheese. There was a sign-in sheet on the table, small print about acknowledgement of community ordinances. I asked Karen, "Is this required?" "Of course not," she said, so I picked it up and folded it in my pocket. Then I handed her a complaint letter addressed to the county prosecutor, asking her to sign as a witness. She did. So did 2 board members, autopilot mode. The next day, Ron nearly danced a jig. Her signature, date, and the document number matched the very deed they'd forged with my dead grandfather's name. From there, it snowballed. The county prosecutor opened an investigation. The Department of Land Resources started auditing every permit Sierra Group ever touched. One zoning official quit. Another got caught trying to backdate a plat. Karen's attorney called, begging for mediation. We refused. We were past HOA court now. This was criminal. In the end, the judge didn't mince words. You built on land that wasn't yours. Every structure is an unlawful trespass. Do you want restitution? Ron said yes. The judge slammed the gavel. Demolition ordered, licenses suspended, criminal charges pending. 2 weeks later, the demolition crews rolled up, engines growling. People from all over came out. Neighbors, farmers, even a few Pinewood Summit folks dragging lawn chairs, cheering. Someone held a sign, "Don't tread on farmers." Another, "This land is Hawks' land." The crew started on the unsold homes, tearing down beige boxes like wet cardboard. Then came the HOA office. Karen tried to protest, screamed it was illegal. I just watched the excavator crush the porch. "You could have compromised," she said, tears running. "I did," I told her. "I let you live." The internet went wild. A live stream titled, "HOA Tyrant Watches Her Empire Crumble," hit 100,000 views in hours. By week's end, Sierra Group was buried in lawsuits. Buyers were filing class actions. Karen tried to flee the state and got arrested at the airport. Charges: fraud, document forgery, attempted theft, you name it. The DA didn't hold back. Bail was set at $750,000. Ron called, voice grinning. The court awarded you $1.25 million, and Sierra Group's about to settle. Might even turn into a racketeering case. I walked the southern fields that night, where 9 houses used to stand, now nothing but rich soil and silence. I laminated the court ruling, nailed it to a post at the gate, hung a fresh sign. Trespassers will be prosecuted. Hawks family since 1891. Not HOA land. Not ever. When spring came, I planted apple trees where the office once stood, built a heavy steel gate with our family crest. People stopped by, real neighbors, not HOA suits. Some brought pie, some beer, most just a handshake. One day, a teenager from Pinewood Summit rolled up, pointed at my sign, asked, "Is that for real?" I said, "Every word." He nodded, grinned, and pedaled off. Maybe the next generation will do better. So tell me, was I right to fight, or was I just as stubborn as they said? Drop your thoughts below. Where do you draw the line between community and control, justice and revenge? Let's hear your craziest HOA story. And hey, if you've ever had to stand your ground, you know exactly what I mean.